Hey guys, welcome back to the Pulling Curls podcast. Today on episode 223, we are talking about the best Disneyland tips for your spring break trip. Let's untangle it. Hi, I'm Hillary, a serial overcomplicator. I'm also a nurse, mom to three, and the curly head behind Pulling Curls and the Pregnancy Nurse. This podcast aims to help us stop overcomplicating things and remember how much easier it is to keep things simple. Let's smooth out those snarls with Pregnancy and Parenting Untangled, the Pulling Curls podcast. This episode of the Pulling Curls podcast is sponsored by my Disneyland Day Planner. If you are looking to make sure that you use the time at Disneyland the most responsibly, grab my Disneyland Day Planner where I share the rides that are going to be the busiest or the least busiest so you can know how to plan your day. Today's guest is one of my favorite people to do Disney with. She actually works with Getaway Today, but I have worked with her for years. She's been with Getaway Today for 20 years. She does a lot of their marketing and social media. I want to introduce today's guest, Kim Fiddler. Hey, Kim, welcome to the Pulling Curls podcast again.
Yay! Thanks, Hillary. Thanks for having me.
I think we recorded our last one together before 2020, so things have changed.
That feels right, yes.
So, we probably talked all about Max Pass back then, and what were they called? Lightning?
No, it's just
what were they called back
Fast
then?
Pass. Max Pass and Fast Pass.
Just Fast Pass.
Yep. Max Pass was the paid, Fast Pass was the free. So you'd have to run around to the machines and come back later.
You could buy the internet one though.
That was Max Pass, yes. So Max Pass was on the phone. Fast Pass would give you access to the Fast Pass lane, but Fast Pass you had to go collect your ticket return time. It was very exciting.
Yeah, that the ship has changed.
Yes.
It has changed course.
Yes. For sure.
All right, so Kim and I, we've got spring break coming up. Kim and I wanted to give you guys some good tips about going to Disneyland for spring break. And Kim is so fun to go to the parks with because she is just like Mama Kim, and she tells us what we're going to do, even when I'm in a group of people who do Disney. But it's also really relaxing to just have Kim tell me what to do because usually I am the one that's saying what we have to do. So it's nice.
And Hillary's my nurse. So if anything ever happens, Hillary's prepared. She'll tell you what meds to take. She'll mix you up cocktails. She'll make sure you get the right bandages. She does all the things. It's a perfect combination. 1-2 punch. Everybody wants to come to the park with the two of us.
Injury and Disney.
Yes.
They go hand in hand.
Yes.
All right, Kim, you're the guest, so why don't you give us your best tip for Disney first off?
Okay, so my best tip is, and this applies no matter the time of year, I will preface this by saying I am not a morning person unless I am at Disney, in which case I am up an hour before the park opens and I am hurrying, getting ready, and I'm out the door 45 minutes at least before the park opens, getting to the park to enter security no later than half an hour before the park opens. Get there early. The rope drop.
If you're going to do the parks.
Yeah.
Because I, at this point, I'm like, I've been. Do I really need to get there that early?
No, and here's what's kind of funny, because I go to the parks all the time. I go, it feels like monthly, sometimes more, sometimes maybe less. But my kids only go once a year. So when I'm with my kids on spring break, like we did last year, we are up and we are at them, period. Because we are doing the rides, and that is the best way to maximize your time. And by getting there first thing in the morning, you can just get so much done in those first 2 hours that if you need to go back to the hotel and take a break midday, no big deal. You do that. You do what's best for everybody, but there are fewer crowds, which leads to less overwhelm. And again, you just get so much done. So that's my number one tip is rope drop.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a morning person anyway, so I'm awake. It's usually kids or the people that I'm with are like, oh, let's get to the parks later. So I get up and get work done, and then I go to the parks usually.
Oh, my kids, they are so well trained. They're so good at theme parks. I'm like, all right, guys. They'll even sleep in their clothes. They'll shower the night before, sleep in their clothes. So that alarm goes off, they're brushing their teeth and they're out the door. They know the big difference of getting there at 8 and having that time from 8 to 10:30ish and rolling around 10:30 when the rest of the people, the Hillarys of the world, show up with their families.
I mean, my kids, we're gonna go spring break and we will go open to close.
Perfect.
Because we only do one day.
That's hardcore.
I'll be the one that's on the concrete at 9 a.m., but they'll be fine.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. They can carry you home. That's the least they can do.
Right. Why do you have a wagon? Oh, it's for my mom. It's fine.
Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions.
We'll leave that in the locker.
Yep.
Okay, so my tips all seem to circle around Genie Plus.
Hmm.
So when people are like, should I get Genie Plus? If you were like going for 5 days, you have small kids, no, you probably don't need it. But the way our family does it, we try and do less days because we have working kids, kids in school, whatever,
Hmm.
and maximize our time there. So my biggest tip for people is to always be holding a Genie Plus at least 1-ish hour after park opening. So once
Yeah.
it starts to seem like it's a little bit busy, you always have a Genie Plus, including as soon as you scan in, you know which one you're getting next, and you're getting it as you walk onto the ride.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I would even go as far to say with my kids, even though my kids are little, if you're there during a busy time, I'm still getting Genie Plus because for us, that means we can go and take a 3, 4 hour break in the middle of the day when it's super crowded. We can stack our lightning lane return times for later in the evening, afternoon, and then we're still not waiting in line. So I'm a huge, huge fan of Genie Plus. Huge fan. And now Mickey and Minnie's
Um,
Runaway Railway is included with Genie Plus, which it used to be an individual lightning lane. So that's
Great for
exciting.
the littles.
Yes.
Great for the littles.
And the other thing I would say with Genie Plus, if you are going, especially if you're only doing like, I mean, hopefully not one day, but like 2 or 3 days, you can pre-purchase it and that will lock in the price at $30. Right now it's $30. But if you wait, especially spring break time, it will likely be more than $30 and it can sell out. So be mindful of that if you're going during a real peak season time.
Yeah. The only bummer with that is if you are like coming for half a day, you don't want
Oh
Genie
my
Plus
gosh.
on that half day. Like, let's say
Oh,
you get in on the afternoon, you don't want to like pre-buy Genie Plus and you
oh,
get in and the only thing that's available is Winnie the Pooh,
well,
which
that's
isn't even on
normally,
Lightning Lane.
so
I
that's
don't
what's
know.
cool about Disneyland is that's normally not the case. I have used it on half days. I've used it when I've gotten in at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like walking in at 5 o'clock. I've been able to do Big Thunder. I've been able to do Space Mountain for, I mean, obviously a later return time, but those are things that there's no way I would be waiting an hour and a half, 2 hours when I only have a 4 hour time block in the park. So I even say,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I'm like, okay, and so like let's say it's $30. I'm like, oh, but I pay $15. I when I get to Disney, all of a sudden my time becomes real valuable, and I'm like, I will pay any amount of money not to wait in line. So I'm like, would I pay $15? Would I pay myself $15 an hour to not wait in that line for an hour? Yeah, I would. So if you can do that, I say do it. The other thing is like, let's say you have a morning. It was the same thing. I went with my daughter. Now this was December, so obviously different time of year, but peak season. We only had until noon in the parks. We absolutely used Genie Plus. We were able to ride how many things? Like, well, we went to California Adventure first. We got a lot done in California Adventure. And then we hopped over to Disneyland and we were able to do Matterhorn, which is her favorite attraction, and Small World Holiday. And both of those were really, really long lines. There's absolutely a 0% chance we would have been able to ride with that limited amount of time. So I am still a fan of Genie Plus, even for the half days.
That Kim, she just likes to throw money out the window. I think you just have to be mindful of it because if that's not something that you think, and little kids makes Genie Plus hard. So if you have little tiny people, I'm
That's
talking
true.
like
Like rider
3,
swap type
you,
people.
yes, or just like infants, you gotta like reevaluate your life plans.
That
Yeah,
that is very true. And again, I'm coming at this from a point of somebody like taking somebody who does not go to the parks regularly. So I think like the second you get to the Disney park, if that is your one vacation that year, or maybe you go every other
that's true.
year, you're spending a lot of money to be there anyway. So to spend that extra $30 per person to really get the most out of your time, I think is a really good investment, even if it's just that half day, because again, you're not coming back. You and I are a little bit skewed because we tend to go regularly. But when I'm with my kids, it's a
Right.
completely different story.
Also, I have kids who only want to ride fast pass things, right?
Right.
My kids are like skipping Fantasyland. We are not. We might go on one in Fantasyland if we're desperate to fill some time, but we pretty much only Lightning Lane at this point, with adult
Yes.
kids. So
Yes.
yeah.
I get that.
Oh, we're Lightning Laners
Love
for the
it.
most part. But I do think that if you are going to Lightning Lane, you've got to research it a little bit.
Yes.
So check out Getaway Today. I have a couple posts on my site. I'll put it in the show notes because so many people are like, I had Lightning Lane and I used it on 4 rides today. And I'm like,
No,
what?
you did it wrong. You're not doing it right if you only use it. Unless you only have 3 hours, then great. Use those 4 rides. But you're right.
Yes.
No, there is
Yeah.
a strategy to it.
Yeah.
And it feels big and confusing, but once you get to the parks, it is really intuitive. And Disney has made it very easy to change lightning lanes if you are like, oh, our plans change, we want to switch this. one big change from if you haven't been since COVID is that previously you could book as many fast passes as you wanted per each attraction. It would just like let's say you love Big Thunder and you wanted to do it over and over and over again. With the new Genie Plus Lightning Lane system, it's only once per attraction. So that is something to keep in mind too. So be a little bit strategic. And that's one reason why I love the early mornings is you can normally get your favorite rides done twice by going and doing quick
Yes,
ride in
that's
the
what we
morning
totally do. So,
and then save your lightning lane for
what do you want
later.
to ride more than once? Let's rope drop
Yes,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. What's your next tip, Kim?
Okay, so mobile order is a great way to save time in line. Plus, it's easy and you can do it while you're in line for something else. If you have like really hot items like the raspberry rose macarons that you want, order those earlier in the morning. You can set a later return time. But I say mobile ordering is easy and it's fast and it's great.
Yes. And it fills your time in between your lightning
It
lanes for
does.
our family because we do not want to go on Snow White. So we're like, what are we going to eat between these
Oh,
two lightning lanes? And we get it booked in easily.
mm-hmm.
And you don't have to like hem and haw. Kids can look at it on the phone. They can easily just tell you what you
Right.
want. It's a game changer. And
It
when I went
is.
to Universal, I was like, what is wrong with
Where's where
Universal?
where is the mobile order? I agree. I agree. They have it down. Like now I go anywhere and I expect to be able to just order my food.
Yeah, I hope other theme parks get on. I hope they license their software. I don't know. It's made me, it's hard for other parks now.
It is. Well, and mobile ordering has even become easier. Like you can go on, you can see what's available right now. So if you have like a very specific thing you want to order, I'd say do that earlier and plan your day kind of around that, which I know sounds a little bit silly, but those raspberry rose macarons, come on. But for anything else, you're like, oh no, I'm hungry right now. You can just hop on and see, oh, these are all the restaurants right by me. Or, oh, these are all the ones that have availability within the next, half hour. I can pick up right now for half an hour out. It's easy and it's good.
Yeah, and some of them you can mobile order just a Coke.
Yes,
Some of them you can just mobile order a pretzel. You
yes.
don't have to do a whole meal. So that's
No,
the beauty of it.
absolutely. And there's ways to order allergy free. If you have a very severe allergy, I still recommend ordering in person because the chef can come out and talk to you. But you can make adjustments.
Yeah.
Like and it will show you all the allergies. Like, oh, this is egg free. Oh, this is dairy free. Oh, this is gluten free, whatever it is that you need. So I'm a big fan.
All right, that was my third tip. So I was on the same
We're on the
zone as
same.
Kim for that
Yes.
one.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. I love it.
Okay, my second tip though is to be mindful of which stuff like sells out lightning lane, especially if you're going spring break, you're going at a busier time. You need to know that Space Mountain is gonna like sell out. It doesn't really
Yes.
sell out, but it's gone. It disappears
Or it's
earlier in the
11
day
o'clock at
than say,
night. Yeah. Like, and do you
yeah,
really want to stay till 11? My kids don't. They
right.
can't hang.
Yeah. So what you're going to want to do, and I go over this in all of my things, but you're going to want to book Space Mountain, at 2 o'clock. Then you're going to wait your time period. It's 2 hours, right, Kim?
Yes, it's
Is it 2 or
hours.
90 minutes between?
It's
Two
two
hours.
hours.
Then you're going to wait your 2 hours, and then you're going to book in Star Tours
Yes.
because that's only going to be like a half hour from now because that ride's horrendous. And then you're going to, so you've
And
gotten your Space Mountain. It's booked in, and it's not at 11:45 p.m.
100%. And when we talk about that 2 hour rule, you're setting an alarm on your phone because 2 hours in Disney time, weird. It's gonna not feel, it never feels like 2 hours. It either feels like 15 minutes or 4 hours. So set an alarm for your phone. So with the lightning lanes, you can hold one at a time, which means that you can either, like Hillary was saying earlier, if you go through the line of Indiana Jones, the second you scan in, you can start making your lightning lane for the next thing. However, what do you do if, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and the return time for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is at 3 o'clock? Okay, well, does that mean you have to wait 5 hours to get your next lightning lane? Nope, it's a 2 hour window. So that's how you stack. So that's what I like to do with my kids. So I'm like, okay, in 2 hours, I'll make my next lightning lane. Oh, and Mickey and Minnie's is around 5. Oh, okay. So at 2 o'clock or whenever that time expires, I'm gonna look and see if I can get Roger Rabbit because that's right by there. But let's be real, I'm really not riding Roger
No.
Rabbit.
Why are you going to ride
I'm
Roger
not.
Rabbit?
I'm gonna do
That's such
Small
a
World because
mistake.
that's close. Yes, but my point is, you can stack, and you're so right on. Like you're gonna do an attraction that's right next to it that doesn't have that long wait time.
Yeah. And I have a Disneyland day planner that just basically shows these are like the top 8 attractions that are going to sell out early.
So
So you're
smart.
going to want to put those earlier in your day if you can. But like I'm weird. I love to ride Big Thunder at
At
night.
night, me
Like I love
too.
getting up in the dark.
Me
And so I
too.
try and like I just kind of watch that one to see when I can like get an 8 p.m. or whatever the time the sun's gone down, just because I like the magic of it. But if you
Same.
don't care, like when I go with my kids, we will just be going and going and going, but we are still going to want to get those premium ones in first because we know that we can always ride Star Tours later
Yes.
in the day.
Buzz
Or
Lightyear
Roger Rabbit.
or Roger Rabbit.
If we want to make a mistake,
If
we
we
can ride Roger
if we
Rabbit.
want to question every life decision we've ever made, we can ride Roger Rabbit. I still haven't ridden it since it was redone. Have you?
Yes, I
Oh,
have.
geez.
She's in a trench coat. I mean, that's all I really noticed. She
Okay.
was out of her red dress and
Okay.
she's in a trench coat. So that was amazing. It was just so gratifying that Disney supports women.
Great. Great. Anyway.
Okay, what's your tip? This is
Okay.
your last one, right, Kim?
Yes. So, and we've really, Genie Plus was one of mine too. But I would say something that I think is really fun to do if you're there, especially over spring break, and you know it's going to be busy, and you don't want to be just going from ride when it's chaotic. Like I said, do that in the morning. I really think it's fun to book one or two special experiences. For example, last time we went, I took my daughter to the Princess Breakfast, just the two of us, and it was perfection and magical and so like at our leisure. While my husband took our sons over to the Droid Depot and they got to custom build their own droids. So like that was something that our kids were really looking forward to. And it felt like kind of a break from the hustle and bustle of the vacation, but we still had such a great experience. And you could do the same thing with like a special lunch at Blue Bayou or a World of Color dessert party if your kids can stay up that late. Just something that feels special. The other thing that we did that I'm telling you, it's not like a special experience per se, but I did the art of animation drawing classes with my kids and my middle child especially. We did three of those classes. Like that's a good chunk of time of your spring break vacation. He loved the animation station. We spent a lot of time there, which felt way less chaotic. And then you get like a free souvenir after, and it was fun. So take time to build in some stuff that doesn't feel chaotic, that allows you to have a good experience at a relaxed pace.
Yeah. So in my case, we try and get a late lunch, like a 2
Perfect.
p.m. lunch somewhere where they will bring me water.
Yes.
That's all I
Yes.
want. I want to put my feet up and get hydrated
Yes.
so that I can run the marathon of the rest of the day with my
Yes.
family. And those don't have to be expensive. There are some cheaper places. Blue Bayou is expensive, like
Yes.
she mentioned, but there are some cheaper sit down. I really like Riverbell Terrace, even though it's the ugly stepsister of Disneyland
Yes. Yes.
reservations, I feel like. I really like it there and it's not too expensive.
The other thing is you could do,
Lamp House,
yeah, Lamplight Lounge is great.
Lamp Lounge, and you can split. You can easily split things there too. So little kids, you can get a few appetizers. Just enjoy them bringing you water.
Absolutely. And I even think you can go outside of the parks, and downtown Disney has some really good choices. You can ride the monorail into downtown Disney, which feels like an adventure in and of itself. But you've got Tortilla Joe's. You have, oh my gosh, that's the only one I can think of, right? You have Tortilla Joe's. Jazz Kitchen is over there. There's I can only think of Napoli, which is the quick service version of the rest. Naples is the full service. But there are sit down restaurants that you can go have a really good experience that are just a few minutes from the parks as well and maybe feel a little less chaotic too. And yes, keep bringing me
Yeah,
water with my feet up.
yes. I mean, that's probably my number one tip is to take a ibuprofen and hydrate at lunch.
And compression socks. You're like the queen of compression socks.
I am the queen. It really helps my legs not ache when I'm standing in line. When you're just
Hmm.
standing there, it really helps. So I'm a big compression sock fan. Yeah. I think I have one other tip though. I remember when we went to Disney World, I was asking a cast member while we were waiting in a line, I was like, would you go to Norway or would you go to Test Track? And he was like, well, which one's more important to your family? And I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all. My values don't play into this at all. But it really is true because
Yes,
if your kid really wants to ride Indiana Jones, you go to Indiana Jones because you don't know if that ride could go down.
it's
You
true.
know, if it's open, go on it.
So,
And
like,
even if your kid really wants to ride Casey Jr., if they really want to ride Roger Rabbit, I would talk them out of it. But if they wanted to ride, if there's just something that they love, get it in early because you don't know if it could close.
absolutely.
Some of them close with weather. Let's pretend like there's an afternoon shower. It could be done. Casey's just done. He can't do the hill anymore,
Right.
right?
It's so true. That is so true. And as parents, I think we get these ideas of like what our kids are gonna like and what they really want. But your kids have a better gauge. Like I thought for sure my kids were gonna love Indiana Jones. They were finally tall enough. We were so excited, and they were like, "That was way too scary." They're like, "Mom, we're never going on that again." And they would much prefer to do the Jungle Cruise right next door. I'm like, "Okay, I guess we're a Jungle Cruise family, and that's okay." So I think yes, talk to your kids. Make sure you're getting what they really want out of it too. And I heard something recently that I'm like, that is such a good point. As grown-ups, we get a little caught up in, well, this is how much we paid for this vacation, so I'm going to get as much out of this as possible. And, I want to make sure we're doing that. But your kids don't see your vacation from that lens at all. They're just happy to be there. My daughter has never been more excited than when she got a bubble wand for her birthday and was like, this is the best day of my life. And just wanted to play with her bubble wand for a good portion of the day. Like, okay, that's why we're here. It's fine
Yeah,
that we're,
you have to think that now the trip is costing what it cost at this point. I'm here for free,
yep,
right?
sunk
I've
cost.
done
I
it.
love it.
Now I'm here for free.
Yep,
Already done
yep,
it.
yep, exactly. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, my boys, because I had two little boys for a long time going to Disneyland, and they would have done Tom Sawyer's Island for
All
hours
day.
and
Yeah,
hours.
I
They
believe it.
just loved it. Sadly, there are no benches on that island. I'm like, where did all the old people sit, Tom?
Tom,
Or what is it?
Tom.
It's not Tom Sawyer's Island anymore.
Is
It's
it?
Pirate's Lair.
It's
Is it
Pirate's Lair
Pirate's Lair?
on Tom Sawyer's Island. I think
Tom
it's still
Sawyer's
Tom
Island.
Sawyer's Island.
Anyway,
I'm
yeah, and my kids
83% sure.
loved
The Redwood Creek
The
Challenge.
Redwood
Yes.
Creek Challenge Trail.
And you're like, it's a glorified
So
park,
magical.
but
The
they love
cast
it.
members were so great.
Yes.
But I was like, dude, we cannot spend all day here.
But can you?
But we should have. We should have.
But right, like those are
We could have.
the things that
Right.
your kids do remember, and yeah.
What we could have done is if my husband really wanted to go on Guardians, he should just go, well, we're at the Redwood Creek Challenge
Yes,
Trail, right?
absolutely. And he could single rider
Yeah.
that. I mean, you have to still wait in the big
They
line,
don't have a single rider.
but what they will do is they'll call out for single people. Like when you get to the front, they're like, "Hey, come on front."
Yeah.
So
I don't know that it gets him through any faster though.
it really,
Because I don't ride Guardians.
it might get him a cart or two faster.
Yeah,
Hey, at
maybe.
Disney, I'll take
Maybe
whatever
I'll
I
go
can
on it
get.
someday.
Maybe.
It's true.
Totally, I would love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think that's the best. The key is today is free. That money is
Mhm.
already gone.
Mhm.
It is burned. So we're just enjoying what is happening today because
Yes.
as I go to Disney more without kids, I see the moms just freaking out at Disney, and I want to just be like, just take some breaths. And I get it; it's so hard. I've been the mom freaking out before.
Yes, I think we all have.
It just feels overwhelming. Yeah. So just take some breaths. Just sit down and eat a pretzel, a cream cheese filled pretzel.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And hydrate and take some ibuprofen.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I would say, like, we always prep our kids before. I'm like, oh, my kids are so good at rope dropping. It's because we talk about it. We're like, okay, this is what's going to go down. This is why. My kids are very receptive to that. I realize not everybody's kids are going to always be like, okay, mom, I gotcha. But even letting them know what to expect. And the other saying that we say all the time, there are no promises at theme parks because it's exactly what you said. Hey, can we ride Incredicoaster later? You know what? I'd really like to. But again, I'm not going to promise that because what if it goes down or what if something else happens or like, oh, well, we ended up going here instead. Like, okay, well, we'll really try. We'll put that on our, list. But my kids know that there's just too much that you can't control and you have to roll with
Yeah.
the punches and go with the flow. And we're like, okay, it's probably going to be really busy. Okay, it might be really hot. Okay, it might rain. Okay, it might do this. What are we going to do? How can we still have an enjoyable experience? And then I just,
Yeah.
if you go in like all hopped up, and, oh, this has to be the best day ever. And you have that pressure on yourself, it might not be the best day ever. But if you're like, oh, things might happen. Things might be a little tricky. We're going to roll. Then at the end of the day, you're like, wow, that was the best day ever.
Or it was fine.
Or it was
I'm so glad we have that memory.
We'll laugh about that someday.
I just had a labor nurse on the podcast and she was talking. She was like, our trip, I mean, we have some memories from it. And I guess that's what I wanted was some memories. I was like, and everyone made it back alive as far as I could tell.
Here we are. It's true.
Of course, my number one trip is to book with Getaway Today because you could spend hours frazzled looking at all the 6,000 hotels in the Anaheim area that say they are walkable to Disney Park and are lying to you unless you're a pioneer. Like some of those that are like walkable to Disneyland Park. I'm like,
Well, you can walk
like if you're a
there,
marathon runner.
but like not back. Like I can walk a mile
Anyway,
there, but not after a day at Disney.
yeah.
Not getting home.
No,
Yeah.
no. So I always recommend people book with Getaway Today. I've booked with them since 1998, you
We were
guys. I
babies.
called them. I had no money. I was graduating nursing school and I really wanted to go to Disneyland, and they made all my dreams come true. Was it the nicest hotel? No. But it worked. It was in our budget, and it was just me and my husband. We just didn't even care. And I don't think I even thought about like bed bugs or anything back then.
I don't think there were
I don't
bed
think
bugs
you
back
even
then.
booked the hotel that I was at. Yeah, there probably weren't. But Getaway Today, it makes it so easy. And I'm always shocked by how much cheaper it is with Getaway Today versus like looking at the hotel website. Because I'll go and I'll check. And I'm always like, I don't get it. I don't get the magic of Getaway Today, but somehow it works.
It's over 30 years of business, and Wade is our secret weapon. Wade has worked with these hotels, has personal relationships with them, and what's pretty cool is you may have heard like booking through third parties can sometimes be trickier. When you come to Disneyland, when you book with a third party and that third party is Getaway Today, you get like white glove service.
It's so different than if you book with Travelocity. And I don't think
Hmm.
people understand that at Disneyland, because if I ever have an issue with my room, they directly call Getaway Today because they have so many people that are booking with Getaway Today, and it's just fixed immediately.
Right.
Versus Travelocity, they would be like, you call Travelocity, this is your problem.
Right. And let's say you contact us because you're like, oh, this isn't quite what I expected. We do all of that work on your behalf. And because we're Getaway Today, like we know the hotel contacts by name, we know who to get a hold of, we can do it quickly. Everybody wants you to have a good vacation. Nobody wants you to not have a good vacation. So
Yes.
we really care. We treat everyone like
My favorite thing was I couldn't sleep in a room where my kids could see me from the playpen. And so I would call Getaway Today and I'd be like, I just need like a half wall. Like even in the bathroom, like a half
perfect.
wall. And the gal who would answer the thing would be like, well, let me go through the ones because they have toured them. They know what's in each room. And she would be like, okay, well, here's like 5 that you could pick between. And then I would pick which one worked for me. Some had a door, some had a wall. And it made it so we could all sleep instead of just little eyes looking it up at the playpen going, mama, mama.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. So Getaway Today, you can use code CURLS10 to get $10 off your trip. And we love it when you guys mention that you heard about it from Pulling Curls, Hillary, Pregnancy Nurse, whoever you want to say. I'm in their system in like all the brands.
All the way. Like our favorite podcaster.
I don't think I'm your favorite podcaster.
You want to be?
All the pregnancy podcasts, you guys are like, yep,
That's the one.
I love those.
Actually, we have a lot of moms, young moms here, so you're not wrong.
Yeah. They're people. I've trained so many Getaway Today people to have babies like that. I am the official OB sponsor of Getaway Today.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure, right?
Pretty sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on,
This
Kim.
was so fun.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I think it is so important to just think like the trip's free. Once you've paid for it, hopefully you got a good deal with Getaway Today, but don't put any pressure on yourself to have like the most amazing trip of your life, because it's going to be a great day, but there's going to be some goods and some gads, and just roll with it. So hopefully you guys have a good spring break and you enjoy your Disney trip coming up. Stay tuned, because next week I'm going to give some of my favorite facts about one of the most important parts of pregnancy, the placenta. And then after that, we're going to be talking about some secret mom hacks. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us on the Pulling Curls podcast today. If you liked today's episode, please consider reviewing, sharing, subscribing. It really helps our podcast grow. Thank you.